Where you going? Do you want to be an out the door, weather and more? What are you doing? You busy this morning? You want to go out the door? Because the people missed you. Do you want to go out the door, or do you want a belly rub? Or do you want both? T-Rex, you want to go out the door? What do you say? Jump once for yes, jump twice for yes now. Yes now. That's the answer. I would love to tell you the time and the temperature, but for a lack of a AA battery, I don't have the temperature. I can tell you the time, 7:39, and the date, Friday, September 13th. Do you believe in triskaidekaphobia? Not me, but I do have plenty of other phobias. The fear of stepping on bees. Well, then why don't I go out with shoes on? I guess I don't really have that fear either. I have the fear of bad audio. And so I'm not wearing my noise-canceling microphone because it fails me so often. I'm using the iPhone, which is not the best, but the fact that it's not windy this morning is very helpful. And I think I saw a rain cloud. I saw something on the radar this morning. Can't rain. It's never going to rain again, right? There's altocumulus. Altocumulus doesn't make rain, but you know what does? Nimbostratus and cumulonimbus, and we actually had some of those east of Boston this morning on the radar. I was kind of surprised. Woke up and I saw that, and I'm thinking, oh, wait. Way back on Monday, the Euro said we were going to get a ½ inch of rain today. So it was on to something, and there's a little bit of fiber in those clouds right there, fibrous, but they're moving towards the east and south, and I look toward the north, and there's one little decaying altocumulus, and then nothing but clear sky and smoke in the sky. We continue to have smoke from the western fires, which are getting more out of control, and smoke is covering a lot of North America. We talked about that yesterday. The boats are pointed toward the southwest this morning. Got a couple of guest boats at Wessagusset, beautiful looking sailboats there. I think those are transients. Welcome. I think the catamaran's been here for a while, and we're expecting the lynx within a few weeks now. The planes yesterday were taken off as I got home from Vermont toward the east, and can't tell which way. I know that's headed to the east right now, but if that turns and comes our way, the planes head into the wind, and we're going to have a light variable wind with high pressure right over us. The satellite imagery shows that cloud that was just east of Boston this morning. Also another cloud in New Hampshire and Maine that could spawn a sprinkle. And otherwise, just a little smoke and haze in our sky. It's, can't call it Indian summer. We haven't had a frost yet, but it's kind of behaving that way. And it's dry day after day after day. Why? I talk about waves all the time. Well, there are such things as standing waves also. And that's when you get a ridge that's just sitting over the northeast. And that's what we have, a ridge sitting over the northeast. And the reason that some of the clouds did produce a few raindrops this morning is there's a very subtle boundary. It shows up on the Weather Prediction Center map as a little orange dashed line. And then there's a blue line to our north. There's a very weak backdoor cold front we've been talking about. We talk about weather features, no matter how big or small, and this is very small, and it's not doing much. Boundary is the difference between different kinds of air mass, whether it's warmer or colder, wetter or drier, and it's really hard to see this. If I show you the temperature map this morning, it's kind of all over the place, depending on what happened last night. How about New Bedford at 54, I think, and Chatham at 66. Is there really a 12-degree gradient? That's because there was a little breeze in Chatham last night that prevented radiational cooling. The cool spot this morning, 45 again, Whitefield, New Hampshire. Again, Whitefield, but that's warmer than the last several mornings. It's the first morning not in the 30s at sunrise in Whitefield in a few days. So we've had a modified cold air mass. And what about record warm? I saw 87 on the dashboard thermometer yesterday coming down, but actual readings were in the low 80s. So I checked out some of the records. The record temperature in Concord, New Hampshire today is going to about 84, and the record for today in Concord, New Hampshire is 93, September 13, 1948. So although it's warm, it's not record warm, but I bet if we add up last week and this week in a 2-week period, we're probably going to call it the warmest start to September on record, except for those cold nighttime lows if we just use the afternoon highs. And that's the beauty of these high pressure systems. You get comfortable nights for sleeping with dew points in the 40s and 50s. The lows are in the 40s and 50s. And then by day, you can get up into the low 80s like yesterday. And if we look at the Boston, let's just go right to the Boston 15 day. It's never gonna rain again in Boston. Today we're in the lower 80s, but it starts actually with tomorrow. The temperature's gonna be cooler this weekend. Like I said, about a subtle boundary. And then it chance of a little low cloudiness or fog as the temperature and the dew point come together near 60 the next couple nights. But it's just another wave of warmth the middle of next week, and I don't know if that's going to be record warm, but I'm trying to untie Rex and give him free rein. This summer yard furniture is going to be getting stacked away soon, so I won't have to play with the cords. But I do love having the garden. I haven't paid much attention to the garden lately. And there are the roses looking beautiful, and the garden is parched, but there are plenty of tomatoes. There's a thermometer, a functioning thermometer out here, I believe. And what's that one says? 62, 63. Yep, that kind of matches with that weather map I just showed. And my rain gauge is dry. Now, we're talking about consecutive dry days in Boston, up to I think about 24 dry, meaning no measurable precipitation. But remember last weekend with that front, many of us did pick up a little precipitation, and my Tempest had said 0.06. This said 0.03. So technically, it's only really at Boston Logan Airport that we're setting that record. To say we're dusty, though, is an understatement. We are dusty. What's going on over here? Something's been digging besides me in my compost pile. I want to do a random check for worms. In the worm farm, see how we're doing? And you got to keep these things wet. We're doing fine. Look at them all right in there. Yeah, I know you were hoping you were going to see some worms this morning and out the door weather and more, because there's not a lot to talk about. Oh, wait, there's plenty to talk about. The decaying tropical, post-tropical storm, what's its name again? Francine is over Arkansas this morning. And we talked about Francine perhaps shedding energy, or a new system forming to its east on the front that's stalled off the south coast of the United States. And that front is actually stalled not only off of the United States, it goes all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. And there are going to be dual storm tracks from west to east on the north side of the front, and from east to west from the tropics. Another wave coming off of Africa, and the waves that are in the Atlantic Ocean that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring are not expected to develop. And we still have that little hash area off the southeastern United States. So why don't we go to that same big picture I've been showing for the last few days? That would be the Atlantic Ocean from the Euro. Yesterday I accidentally showed the GFS. Didn't realize it until I talked about that 971 low that was south of Greenland. But today this really is the Euro. Here we go. You have those waves on the bottom. That's crossing from right to left. That's west to east. Trade winds headed toward the Caribbean with a weak low pressure, not really strengthening at first there at the bottom. And then in the upper left, that big H, that's over New England. And we have the bundling of energy over the southeastern United States, and not much changes. You have these storms parading across the Atlantic Ocean, and all the rain that's associated with all these fronts is just circling New England. A ridge over the top of us, a trough beneath us, and all the systems are just missing. I'm going to take it all the way out. Now we have a storm developing, looks like a Hurricane Gordon, right out square in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to stop it next Saturday, next Saturday. This is the 8-day forecast. What's that, the 21st, right around the autumnal equinox, a couple days after the full moon. And there's that strong high in the upper left from New England, 1025 to just south of Greenland. And then you have dual low pressure systems. You've got a 999 south of Greenland. That's a cold core, gale, storm center moving towards the east. And then you got a stalled 9, what is it? I can't remember, but it's much deeper. That's a hurricane. That would be Hurricane Gordon to its south. I think it was in the 970s. Formidable. And it looks like those two storms may try and generate a swell for us, but they're pretty far out. And they may rotate around and into one another. That's called Fujiwara. So we're put it back into motion, and we'll watch those two storms kind of rotate around. That's called Fujiwara, when two storms rotate around and then perhaps even merge. But again, high pressure over New England. And we can really see the pattern if we show the quantitative precipitation forecast, that is where and how much rain. And you have rain to our north, you have all that rain to our south, the mid-Atlantic states. with that stalled front, you've got the rain coming off from Africa through the intertropical convergence zone, and when you paint the big picture all together, there is a donut hole with no rain in the next 10 days over New England, outside of a shower or two today, and maybe with another backdoor front again next Friday. So not much rain, no rain. The sun just came out illuminating those boats. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful Friday. And are you going for a cruise on the Cape Cod Canal at 5 o'clock today? It should be actually 75 degrees with light onshore wind, light variable wind when you have high pressure right over you. And we are just parched. The grass is all brown here, and I guess where there's a little more shade, there's some green. And so we've got a Steve, and for the and more, yesterday was a fun travel day, although I shouldn't say that. It was interesting. I pretty much loathe being on Route 128, going 0 miles per hour. But it was fun coming through southern Vermont, and I actually had to stop and participate in a podcast. We stopped in Newfane, Vermont, underneath some apple trees, and talked to Mike Specia and Mike and Keith for the New England Ski Journal Base Camp podcast, which is going to be on next week. And then we got home and went over to Hingham for the last night of the Making Waves series of fun, food, and music family event put together by the Hingham Maritime Center and Liza McKinnon and Untold Brewing. Put together a great show, great fun, family event. So our and more is the return from Vermont to Massachusetts. And who knows what door tomorrow. Will there be cats? Will there be dogs? Will there be birds? Most assuredly will. Talk to you then. I got my phone pointed at my computer. I'm in Newfane, Vermont. And what's your name? Where you're from?
Keith Pearson, editor of the New England Ski Journal.
And
Mike Specian, host of the Base Camp with Keith.
And how are we going to see all of us on the internet? When and where?
So you're going, this episode's going next Friday. David will put it up on the podcast platforms next Friday. And then the YouTube normally comes a couple days after.
Great.
I'll send everything to you as soon as it's up.
That was so fun. So now you guys are in out the door weather and more. You're the and more for tomorrow's surf ski weather. Out the door with a cat and a dog and the apple trees of Newfane, Vermont. Yeah, thanks for letting us use your yard. I just kind of crashed here in Newfane to do the podcast with the Ski Journal and T-Rex mommy over there walking in the apple field. Back in time in Brattleboro. Cities in the rural New England look like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Beetlejuice. We did go back in time. Back to the Weymouth door, standing room only, waiting line to get out the door. A couple of Maine Coon cats, Steve and Mitt. Mitt, would you like to come out? Just show varying degrees of smoke. It's about the 4th or 5th clear day in the last 2 weeks. We're on a record for driest, clearest, longest weather in a long time. Yeah, another injury while I was away. And I just stepped on this beast, pulled it out of the ground. It hurt. The iNaturalist says it's a plume thistle. Thistle is right. Bristle thistle. It's easy to get out though. You get this tool, just kind of get under it. It comes out like that. What do you think of the bristle thistle or plume thistle, Steve? Oh wait, there's more and more. Back on the water. We've got a last night of the summer festival at Hingham. Yeah. Different state, different beer, similar vibe. More and more and more. I met the brainchild and organizer of the event. And what's your name?
Liza McKinnon.
And the name of the event?
It is called Making Waves. It's a 5-part series that we did this summer to benefit the Hingham Maritime Center, which is a nonprofit in Hingham that provides water access to the community. In Hingham, there's only about 6% of the waterfront that is publicly accessible, and this is the chief spot that you can gain access to it with sailing, rowing, young maritime classes, and we also have the high school sailing and rowing teams that we support here.
Yeah, I guess it's a premier location with a premier event, and we're with the organizer. So, how did you think of this?
I think it's great. It's been really well attended. We were actually surprised at how well attended it has become, but we love it and we think it's a great way to introduce the community, especially a lot of these young families, to our harbor front and all of the marine opportunities that we have here in Hingham.
The families are having a ball. So many children.
They sure are. They're having a great time, little ones, older ones, and as the night progresses, the band will kick up a little bit more and the strollers leave and those of us who are a little older hang out.
Ultimately, what is your goal for the event?
Our goal is to raise awareness of what we do, but ultimately to raise money. We function, below cost, and it is terribly important for us to raise money in order to provide all of the services that we provide to the community. We have about 1,000 participants that come through our programming every summer, and this supports our ability to do all of that.
Wonderful. So glad that I ran into you today, and thank you for being part of Out the Door Weather and more and more and more.
Thank you so much.
And why not have a heads up on another event? Dave Judka, Mad Love Music Festival, October 13th, 11 to 5. Divine Sweater, Mint Green, Blacktop Strut, Crisp Barolini, The Drift, Aldous Collins, Sound Waves. 10 years of Mad Love. Food trucks. South Shore Conservancy, Hingham, Mass.
We're very happy to be sharing this evening with you guys. Like I said, we've been on tour with the camp a couple times. Kind of where we got our start acoustically. We're very happy to have them out here this gorgeous day we really got ourselves.
And there it is, 7 o'clock. Sun's over the horizon. Fun has just begun. Turn off the camera and start dancing. More and